Chapter 3. Boone. This was a fantastic idea. For once, my brothers were smart and led me in the right direction. And even though I feel a bit like an asshole for coming into this fancy office with its shiny floors and glass everywhere I look, the receptionist looks at me like I'm scum. But it's all worth it the moment she turns and I see her. The woman from the flyer. She's more perfect in person than she is in the picture. Her long blonde hair seems brighter, her smile more sincere. Up close, her skin seems translucent and flawless, and her mouth is a soft pink bow that is just begging to do filthy things to a man's cock. Her eyes are a vivid greenish brown that I can't stop staring at. She's wearing the same suit and skirt she did in the photos, right down to the shoes. And her tits look just as fucking amazing in it as they did in the photo. As she extends her hand to me, I see perfect fingers tipped with a pale peach manicure. Her hand is soft as she slips it into mine, but her grip is firm. "I'm Ivy Smithfield," she says, and her voice is soft, slow, and sweet. Fuck. It's giving me a hard-on just to hear her voice. I'm glad I did this, because I want her. I want her in my bed, right now. Her long legs wrapped around my hips as I pound into her. She can even wear those beige heels of hers. I'll let her put 'em on my shoulders while I fuck her. She can tell me dirty things in that smoky little voice of hers until I bust my nut. Yeah, I like the sound of that, too. Her cheeks are flushing with color, and she gives my hand a little shake. "And you are?" "Right. Guess I'm too busy mentally boning her to do introductions proper." "Fucking happy to see you." Her entire face flames red. That's fucking adorable. "I see." She tries to pull her hand out of my grip. I hold on tight to it, because she's mine now. She didn't laugh at me when I came in, like the receptionist. She didn't look at me like I was fucking dirt for daring to step into her world. She came and gave me her hand, just like I was a client that mattered. She's classy, just like I thought. And she's sexy as fuck. She's mine, all mine. Anyone that looks at her sideways is gonna get a fist in their mouth. I'm still eyeing her when she gives her hand a little jerk, and the flushed look on her face gives way to mild panic. I don't want to scare her. I want her in my bed. So I let her hand go. "Sorry. Name's Price. Boone Price." I wait to see if she has any sort of reaction to that. People that read the financials absolutely know who I am. But she only continues to smile, sweet and warm and friendly. "It's nice to meet you, Mr. Price. Welcome to Three Jacks." She gestures at the lobby. "Did you just happen to walk in?" "Something like that." I glance around. Nice building. She smiles proudly, like it belongs to her or something. "We're on the historical register. The owners refurbished the place after it was nearly condemned 20 years ago. It's got a fantastic history if you'd like to hear it." "Some other time. It just looks expansive and fancy to me. Just like her. That's all I need to know." She inclines her head. "Can I get you a cup of coffee or a bottle of water?" "I'm good. Can I buy you a drink?" The look on her face becomes shuttered, her smile tight. and I know I've gone too far.
I don't date clients, Mr. Price.
Good. I like that she's got a firm moral backbone, even if I'm scaring the dickens out of her. I'll just have to cool my jets a bit, just enough to get her comfortable. Of course. I'm just used to being a straight shooter and all.
I see.
She gestures at the sea of desks in the back office behind her.
If you'd feel more comfortable, I'd be happy to let you talk to one of my associates.
I want you, I say flatly. When her mouth gets tighter, I put my hands up in the air. All right. I'm putting my foot in my mouth with everything I say, aren't I? I throw on a bit of the charm to make her think my words aren't sincere. Truth is, I mean every fucking word of it. She's mine. All mine. But I've got to play it cool and sneaky until she lets her guard down a bit more. I want you to sell me a house. We don't have to date. In fact, we can just pretend I never opened my fool mouth and said any of that. For now, we can pretend that. She relaxes a little, but there's a bit of wariness still in her posture. Ivy gestures at a nearby set of chairs in the lobby, and we move over to them. As we do, she sits down and crosses her legs, and I swear to God, I nearly bust a nut in that moment. She's effortlessly beautiful, and I've never been filled with so much lust and possessiveness for a woman in my life. I'm not a big dater, and now I know why. I was waiting for her. As I sit, I notice a fine cloud of dust leaking from my hat. Actually, I notice there's a trail of dust from where I was standing, now over to this chair. Whoops. Sorry about the dirt. I came straight in from the field. It's been another long day in West Texas, but this time I found myself a new spot for a well, and not on Bates's property. He can go fuck himself. She waves a hand.
Work is work, and there's nothing to be ashamed of.
She pulls out a small notepad and a pen and writes my name across the top in a girly, looping scrawl and then underlines it.
So, tell me about you, Boone. What are you looking for?
You, I want to say. In a house? She nods. I shrug. Haven't really given it much thought. Something classy, I think. Ivy writes a note under my name.
Fixer-upper? Move-in ready?
I shrug again. Which do you think is better? Right now, with the way my cock is aching at her nearness, I'd live in a cardboard box if she told me it was a good idea.
It depends on your budget. Have you given much thought to how much you want to spend?
I rub my neck. Not really. I haven't paid much attention to the market. That's why I thought I'd come to you. That, and because I want you. Now that I've seen you, I need you. She gives me another little smile, and I feel like I fucking won the lottery.
We'll find you the right house. Bachelor pad or something for a family?
You asking me if I got a woman? Her cheeks turn bright red again. I lean in. I'm just teasing you, Miss Ivy. She gives a high, nervous laugh that's adorable and a little shake of her head.
It's so I know how many bedrooms you're looking for, Mr. Price. That's why I asked.
There's a curve to her mouth that's an almost smile, though, and I know I'm winning her over. I can be a charming bastard if I need to be. Dirt and all. I know, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to tease you. I glanced down at her list and noticed again that her smooth, pretty fingers have no rings on them. Another possessive surge rushes through me. She ain't married, just like I thought. That means she's mine for the taking. Good.
So, rooms?
I stroked my beard. Not sure how many yet. I would like a big place. Ivy nods, scribbling notes in her pad.
In this area? Or is there a particular location you need to commute to?
Here's fine. San Antonio ain't that close to West Texas, but my brothers like living here, and she's here, so that's good for me. I don't mind a long drive, and I'm only out west when it comes time for a new ale anyhow. Behind us, the receptionist starts to put away the things on her desk.
Will you be long, Ivy?
She calls out, giving me a pointed look that tells me she doesn't approve of me taking up her friend's time.
Or should I leave the lobby open for you?
Ivy fumbles in her purse and pulls out a phone. She taps the screen a few times before it reacts, and then she bites her lip as she notices the time.
Gosh, yeah, it is getting late. Mr. Price, would you like to set up a meeting time? Maybe tomorrow or the day after? You can email me your list of needs and we can go over them.
Well, I'll do you one better, I tell her, giving Ivy my most charming smile. How about I take you out to dinner and tell you what I'm looking for in a property? When she freezes, I add, as business partners, not a date. I rub my stomach. I haven't eaten all day and I'm starving.
Oh.
She hesitates and looks at her notes.
I'm not sure. I have a lot to do tonight.
Her voice dies as a man comes strolling through the lobby with sunglasses perched atop his head. He winks at Ivy in a way that makes me grit my teeth, and then pauses to speak to the receptionist. They put their heads together and laugh softly, and I'm guessing they're laughing at me. Hate burns in my gut. Ivy isn't like those assholes at all.
Gosh, Mr. Price,
the object of my desires says, shaking her head. That long ponytail flips back and forth over her shoulder, tormenting me.
I really shouldn't, because I really do have a lot of work I need to get started tonight. Why don't I just get the basics of your information and call you in the morning?
I give her an easy nod, like I understand. She's gonna make me chase her. Fair enough. I can chase. Tell me what you need.
Okay, we can wrap this up fast. Rooms? How many were you thinking?
Her pen pauses over the paper. I purse my lips, glancing over at the assholes laughing by the front desk. How big of a house would I need to shut those two up? How many rooms? 40, I decide.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. 4?
Ivy says politely, writing. 40, I repeat. She blanks at the paper, and then looks up at me. Her pink, sexy mouth is parted, and I have this incredible urge to kiss her despite the dirt on my clothes. Ivy shifts in her seat and leans forward.
Did you say 40?
Her voice has dropped to a whisper. I lean in. Yes, I whisper back. Too many? You think 35'll do? Ivy licks her lips. God help me. And then glances over at the front desk, where the two smirking assholes are still chatting.
Mr. Price, how much money do you have to put down?
This is where I'm good. I grin at her. I got a couple billion. Like I said, I don't know how much houses run in this area. How much do you need? Her mouth parts and she blanks up at me. I've knocked her on her ass, haven't I? Can't say I'm not feeling a little smug about that.
You know what? I think I will take you up on that dinner invite after all.
I just grin. Thought she might.
Ivy. My heart is thundering in my chest as I get out of my chair. A million thoughts are whirling through my head. This guy's rich, unless he's messing with me. Entirely a possibility. He's rich. I can't even imagine a house with 40 bedrooms, much less selling one to someone. And it's clear he wants to go out with me because he hasn't stopped giving me heated looks since I met him. I know I shouldn't go out to dinner with him, but Winky Jack is right there, very close nearby, and if he so much as smells the money on this guy, he's going to steal the commission from me. And I could really use the money. But what if he's lying? What if Mr. Price isn't who he says he is? I'm torn. It doesn't make sense to meet up with a client and immediately go to dinner with him 2 minutes after he asks me out. It also doesn't make sense that he'd work with someone like me if he really is rich. I ponder all these things even as Mr. Price opens the office door and puts a hand on the small of my back to lead me out into the parking lot. Am I being stupid, dazzled by the promise of money? I hesitate the moment the door shuts and look over at him. Bright white teeth flash under that enormous, scraggly beard. You need to Google me? It's like he can read my mind. I give him an apologetic smile. Would it be terribly offensive if I did? He laughs, throwing his head back, and in that moment I realize he's no more than 30, maybe 32. And under that beard and dirt, I wonder if he's cute. Oh, God, that's so gold-diggery of me. But he waves a hand at the phone I'm holding. Go ahead. I start to type in his name on my smartphone, and then stop. How rude am I being? Just because he's thrown me off my game with his dirty, disheveled appearance doesn't mean that I need to start running a background check on the guy. You know what? I don't need to do that. I'd sell you a house either way. Because you're a lady, he says approvingly. Knew it the moment I laid eyes on you. His praise makes me feel all flustered all over again. He has no idea how hard I've worked to shuck off the trailer park dust from my shoes so I can bring in big clients and make a real living at this. Let's just go to dinner, I tell him. We can talk more there. If Winky Jack sees me out here, I worry he's going to smell a big fish and beeline his way over. I don't trust him not to. All right, Mr. Price drawls. Your car or mine? I start to say my car, and then I freeze. My car is a 1992 Geo Metro with no bumper. Whenever I have clients, I check out one of the company cars of the day so I can show my clients around in style. I can't let Mr. Price see my real car or he'll know I'm a fraud. And if I go back inside, Winky Jack will know Mr. Price is a client important enough to go out to dinner with, and he'll sneak in for the kill. So I look over at Mr. Price. If we take your car, can I send a picture of your license plate to my sister? Just to be safe? Of course. Then let's take yours. Of course, I worry that makes me sound like a complete ninny, so I add, a client spilled a latte on my front seat earlier, and I haven't had a chance to take it in to get the upholstery cleaned. Gotcha. He pulls out his keys and gestures to an enormous red truck parked right in the center of the Three Jacks real estate parking lot. The tires and the sides of the car are covered with reddish dirt, and I'm pretty sure there's a metal step-up on the side. Let me get the door for you. Thank you. I take a furtive picture of his license plate and text his info to my sister, explaining to her where I'm going. I'm a slow typer, so it takes me a few moments, and I wander slowly toward his car, focused. Before I can hit send, I pause. I'm going to have to climb into his truck. Somehow, I put the toe of one shoe delicately on the step and look up, searching for a handlebar of some kind. Here, let me help, Mr. Price says, and the next thing I know, his hands are on my waist, and he's lifting me into the truck like I weigh nothing at all. And, okay, I must be dazzled by his money, because those big hands on my waist, it feels amazing. His grip sends a hot pulse through my body, and I cling to the seat as I sit down. Mercy, no wonder women like it when men get all caveman on them. I'm suddenly seeing the appeal. Breathless, I finish sending the info to my sister. By that time, Mr. Price has climbed into the other side of the truck. He looks over at me, that intense look on his face. What? I ask, feeling tingly and weird. I want to stare at his beard, because I have this intuition that, under all that facial hair, there's a really sexy beast of a guy. I just know it. I shouldn't think about it either, but I can't help myself. You want to send your sister a pic of my face? Extra security? That's a good idea, I admit, and pull my phone back out. You're okay with that? Long as you get in the picture with me, I'm good. Oh, why does that make me all tingly? Sure. I hold the phone up and lean toward him a bit. He leans in close as well, and I wonder for a moment if he's going to smell my hair or something strange and intense like that. But he's only gazing at my phone camera, and I'm the one that looks all flushed and bothered. I snap the picture quickly. Thank you. Of course. Don't want your family to worry about you. You're safe with me. That feels strangely possessive. Odd to be hearing from someone I just met. But I'm not getting a weird vibe from him, so I buckle up, send the picture, and look over as the truck pulls out of the parking lot. So, where are you taking me to dinner? Got anything in mind? I eye his clothing. I'd normally take a client out for something fancy just to make them think I'm a big deal, but he's not dressed for the part, and I don't want to embarrass him. Do you like sushi? Am I a dick if I say no? I laugh. How about barbecue, then? His brows furrow together, and he gives me a disbelieving look. Barbecue? Yes. I ain't taking a lady out to dinner to eat ribs. He snorts, as if the idea is ludicrous. You deserve someplace classy, someplace nice. I don't point out that he's covered in dirt. All right, then. Let me think. I know the place, he says confidently, glancing over at me. You let me handle it. I'll let you pick next time. I'm surprised when, a few minutes later, we pull up to a small restaurant tucked away in a quieter section of town. Is it weird that I expected Red Lobster? I've never been to this place, but the name is in French, which makes my stomach twist a little with worry. I really hope this doesn't get awkward and they don't turn him away at the door for being underdressed. He roars the truck up to the front parking space, and I glance out at the deserted parking lot. Is this place even open? It's dinner time, and most restaurants are packed at this hour. Mr. Price insists on getting my door for me, and then walking me up to the front of the restaurant. He's acting like a gentleman, which is sweet. I can't remember the last time a guy held a door open for me. Even if it's all part of some plan of his to win me over, it's working. I'm flattered. I just met the guy, and even though he's got a bushy beard, is covered in dirty clothes, I'm still feeling slightly dazzled by how he treats me. Like I'm some sort of rare jewel he feels lucky to have run across. I've never encountered that before. It's nice. Strange, but nice. This man is a stranger to me. He's absolutely not my type, and a client to boot. And yet, in the space of a few minutes, I've gone from thinking, no way, to feeling utterly flustered every time he focuses his intense gaze on me. The door opens as we approach the front of the restaurant, and an utterly gorgeous woman in a white blouse and black skirt beams a smile at us. "Welcome back, Mr. Price. Your table is ready." He nods, as if expecting this, and puts a possessive hand at the small of my back, steering me into the restaurant. "Welcome back?" I ask him as we enter. The lights are low and dim, and the rest of the restaurant is a sea of empty tables. "Did you already eat?"
"Nah. I stopped by and asked how much it'd cost to hold the place reserved for me and a lady friend tonight."
He stops at a private booth off to one side, as if this table was chosen exclusively for us, and gestures for me to take a seat. I slide in and give him a curious look as he sits across from me. "How did you know I'd say yes?" He shrugs his big shoulders and pulls off his trucker cap, tossing it onto the booth bench beside him, then runs his hand through equally shaggy dark hair.
"I didn't."
So he just threw this money down in the hopes that I'd go out with him? Something else occurs to me. Wait, were you going to go to dinner with any realtor? I've suddenly gone from bewildered but flattered to confused.
"Nah. I went there looking for you."
For me? I blink. Why me? He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a folded piece of paper. I don't realize what I'm looking at until he pushes it toward me, and I see my own face on it. It's one of the Three Jacks marketing flyers. There I am, in the same suit I'm wearing today, one of my 5 expensive work suits, since I can't afford more, with a serene smile on my face. I know this photo. It's the one Farah hates because they put me in it instead of her. It's the one where I felt like a ridiculous idiot to be standing with the partners, when I am clearly not, but was tapped because I was the cute blonde girl in the office. Since then, I've seen the awkward photo at bus stops, on benches, at the ends of restaurant tables, and in newspaper flyers. It's clear he picked this up from somewhere. And it's clear from how many times it's been folded that it's been carried around a lot. I don't know what to say. I stare at the picture for a moment, trying to think. I'm spared an immediate response when the waitress comes over, a gorgeous brunette with a perfect figure and even more perfect hair and makeup. She beams at the two of us, and then gives Mr. Price a very come-hither look that is shockingly blatant. He doesn't even look at her. His gaze is entirely focused on me. "Would you two like to see the wine list?" she asks, her voice husky and seductive. Her hand goes to her hip and her breasts thrust out, and it'd be cartoonish if it wasn't happening right in front of me. One thing's for sure, she definitely knows who he is, and she wants herself a piece of this big, dirty beard. I feel like I've been dropped into bizarro land in the last hour.
"Would you?"
he asks me. Would I what? He hasn't even glanced in her direction. His attention is 100% on me.
"Wine list?"
Or shall I get the sommelier for you? She leans even closer to Mr. Price's side of the table. Any closer and she's practically going to slide in next to him. I can feel myself frowning. To her, it's like I don't even exist. Jesus. I do know how to order wine, though. It's one of the things I've crammed for in my long list of business etiquette miscellany that I've prepped for. White wine with fish, a rosado for chicken, and a petite sirah for steak. Mr. Price definitely looks like a steak guy to me. "Petite sirah?" I suggest. He glances at the waitress for the first time, and the look on his face grows cold when he sees how close she's leaning in. She straightens. "We do have a lovely Syrah from Israel?"
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
All I know about Syrah is that it's pretty dark compared to the rosé boxed wine I normally drink, but it's also what is considered appropriate, so I roll with it. It's not about me as much as it is image. So much of this business is image and how you present yourself. I look down at the crumpled picture of myself. Speaking of images, the waitress moves away, and when she's gone, I hand the picture back to him. I'm afraid I still don't understand.
I went to your office looking for you,
He says in a slow, easy drawl.
I want to fix my image.
Maybe I'm just not understanding. I give my head a little shake. What's wrong with your image? His eyes light up, and he gives me a devastating smile, like I've just said the best thing possible.
You are real sweet. You know that?
I can feel myself blushing at his approval. I didn't quite mean it like that, but I don't correct him either.
Well,
He says when I remain silent and strokes his crazy beard.
you know how I made my money?
Actually, I have no clue. I clasp my hands on the edge of the table. I don't know anything about you, other than you made a bunch of creepy plans to go out to dinner with me before you even met me, and you're carrying around a picture of me like a stalker. And somehow I'm here. I'm hoping you still want to buy a house, because otherwise I should probably go. He laughs, throwing his head back. The waitress returns with the wine, uncorks the bottle, and pours 2 glasses for us. She looks at us patiently, and I take my glass. At this point, we're supposed to sniff it to admire the bouquet and swirl it and some other fancy stuff. Mr. Price just takes his drink and downs the whole thing, making a sound of approval as he puts his glass down. The waitress's body language becomes stiff. "Did you like it, Mr. Price?"
Tastes like piss,
He says in a genial voice.
but I don't have much of a cultured palate.
She giggles like he'd said something utterly charming instead of insulting the wine. I give mine a quick sniff and swirl, and then taste it. God, it's strong. But I nod and thank her as if it tastes just fine, and she refills Mr. Price's glass, and then sets the bottle down.
Now, where was I?
He asks, picking up the bottle of wine. He pours a bit more into his glass, since the waitress only gave him a taste, and then pours even more into my glass.
That's better. Anyhow, I'm not exactly a cultured man.
I give him a half smile.
But you want to know why I'm coming to you, don't you?
The thought has crossed my mind about 100 times in the last hour.
Then I should get all of the introductory shit out of the way, right? Tell you all about me since you didn't Google it and trusted me?
There's a gleam in his eye, and the way he strokes his beard, he seems mighty pleased at that thought. Like me trusting him was a pleasant surprise he can't quite get over.
Grew up dirt poor. Dad was a roughneck, and my mother was, well, not rightly sure what she was. Most days she worked in a grocery store. At least she did until she up and left.
He shrugs.
Then I had a revolving door of stepmothers and stepbrothers.
This sounds awful, and awfully close to my own terrible story. Thing is, I'm not sure if he's telling me this to try and slap me with my own past, or if there's somewhere he's going with it. So I remain silent, sipping my wine.
When I looked old enough to be 18, a buddy of mine got a job out on a rig out in West Texas. Roughnecking. Got me a job out there, too, and I became a worm. Dad didn't like it, but he didn't have a choice.
A worm? I ask. I shouldn't interrupt, but I'm curious. What does that mean?
It means the new guy on the rig, low man on the totem pole. You get all the shitty jobs, and you gotta learn them fast.
He grins and drums his fingers on the table, and as he does, I notice he's missing one.
Sometimes you don't learn 'em fast enough.
The smile he's giving me is charming, but I still want to know how I factor into all this. He shrugs.
I'm getting to the point. Trust me. Anyhow, I did that for a while, and the driller took me under his wing. Wanted to teach me the biz. It's good money if you can work fast, smart, and hard. And money was something I needed. He taught me dowsing, too.
Dowsing? I don't know any of this.
You know.
He picks up his butter knife and mine, and then waves them back and forth.
You use metal rods to find the oil. Anyhow, I got real good at it. Had bosses at other rigs paying me to come douse on their land for a nice fee. Saved that money up and bought some nice hunting land for me and my brothers. I got drunk and did a little dowsing on my new property, and the rods practically jumped out of my hands. So I got a buddy of mine.
He pauses, strokes his beard, and then shakes his head.
Ex-buddy Bates to sell me an old outdated rig. I paid through the nose for it, had it put on my land, fixed it up, had my brothers help me drill, and then, boom.
He spreads his hands.
Spindletop 2.0.
I give him a blank but polite look. Is that good? His brows go up.
You ain't heard of Spindletop?
No.
Biggest oil strike in the U.S. 100,000 barrels a day.
That's good, right? It sounds good. I grimace and reach for my wine again. I'm afraid I don't know a thing about oil, Mr. Price.
Boone,
he says in a low, husky voice.
Call me Boone.
Not until you tell me why I'm here and you're stalking me, I say primly, but on the inside my stomach is fluttering. When he stares at me like that, it makes my entire body prickle with awareness.
I'm getting to that. Drink that fancy-ass wine and let me think.
I chuckle and take another sip of the wine. It's heady as heck, and I'm feeling a little tingly, so this probably isn't the best idea, but it's also helping me relax and not get up and leave, which is probably a bad idea, and I probably should leave. But billionaire wants to buy a house from me. I fucking me, sure, but money. And if I'm totally honest, I'm fascinated by him and his brash, uncouth nature. The way he makes no apologies about who and what he is and throws money around to get what he wants. Like tonight, at this restaurant, he rented out the entire thing in the hopes that he could get me to go out with him, and he hasn't even so much as glanced at the waitress, who is hovering even now as if she'd like to interrupt and shove her phone number under his nose. So I drink my wine and wait for more of this story.
Spindletop,
he says.
100,000 barrels a day. You know how much a barrel of oil sells for right now?
When I shake my head, he continues.
About $100 a barrel, and my well was gushing out 120,000 barrels a day.
I do a bit of math in my head, and then choke on my wine. $12 million a day? He nods slowly.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. I went from being some dirt-ass poor roughneck to a millionaire in the space of a day. Billionaire in less than a year. Cut my brothers in, and they're all billionaires too. Except I don't know how to be a billionaire, really. All I know is how to be a roughneck. And even though I'm running with the bosses now, they don't respect me. They laugh at me and don't take me seriously because, to them, I'm a dumbass with money.
He stabs the table with one finger.
So I'm going to up my game.
Up your game? He nods.
Starting with a big fucking house.
The realtor in me thrills to hear that. Mr. Price.
Boone.
He corrects. Boone, I echo, and his name feels like a scandal on my tongue. If you want a big house, I will sell you the biggest house I can find in all of Texas. He grins real slow, and my heart flutters again.
That's real good.
But you should also know that I have only been practicing real estate for about a year, and if I'm being honest, I'm not in your league. Maybe it's the wine that leads me towards self-sabotage, but I feel guilty. He needs to know I'm not some real estate savant before he trusts me with $1 million home. Wait, he wanted 40 rooms. This might be millions of dollars of home. That would be thousands and thousands of dollars of commission for me, even with my lousy 0.5%. This would get me to the next threshold of commissions with 3 jacks. This would pay for Winona's college and a few more suits for work, a car with a bumper, lots of things. Oh, God, I'm getting excited, and all he's done is mention a house briefly.
You're the one that I want, Ivy.
The way he says that makes it seem like a double entendre. Heck, that comment is so loaded it might as well be a quadruple entendre. Why me?
Because you're honest, for one.
His smile crooks under that mess of a beard.
And because you're classy. You'd sell me a classy house.
And you want classy? Something that makes everyone eat their words, I'm guessing? At his slow nod, I can't help but point out. But any realtor could do that for you, Boone.
Yes, but I want this one.
He points at my face on the paper between us.
I wanted her the moment I saw her.
It gives me goosebumps. I stare at his finger on my face, then look up at him. Why? The possessive look he shoots me feels like a rocket under my skin.
Because I want everything, Ivy. I want the big fucking house and the classy woman.
And I realize he's talking about me.